comic books, movies, TV, and more. Nerds are everywhere. It's time to assemble! It's Nerds United.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Nerds United on YouTube. I am your host, Greg Mahochko. Joining me as always, he is the co-host of the year, Mike Luther. Hi, Mike.
Hello. Greg, I got to say, I know this isn't going to come out today. We're recording it early. But technically today, the day that we are recording right now, is my mom's birthday. So happy birthday, Mom, whenever
Happy
you
birthday,
see this.
Mike's mom.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, based on my track record of availability and time, she might see this by her birthday next year.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's
what we'll do. We'll have it prepared. We'll just keep it in the can, and next July.
July 8th. Yep. and you had a birthday not too long ago. Also.
I did. I advanced in years. I'm now 39.
It's crazy. 39 is I always forget that I'm 39.
Right. It's a nothing year. I mean, like,
yeah.
Was it I think it was Lewis Black who did had a stand-up comedy bit about he's like, all right, now I don't know if it's him, but anyway, some famous comedian is like, all right, 1 through 10 we'll give you because you're a kid, right? 11 to 12, nothing. 13 is important because now you're a teenager. 16 is important because now you can drive. 18 is important because now you can buy porn or whatever. 21 is important because now you can drink. Everything else, not worthwhile.
It's either. I was just gonna say that. That's what I was thinking. Nice.
Great minds. So,
glad. All right, Greg. What are we talking about today on the YouTube? The Nerds United on YouTube, one of the fastest growing YouTube channels out there.
I have no idea.
Well, Greg, I'll tell you.
No, thank
you. The rumor is that the SpiderMan Far From Home, No Way Home trailer is supposed to be coming out. Now that rumor has been going on for the last couple of months now. So who knows? By the way, if you hear any chimes, that might be emails that I'm getting.
My Roomba just tried talking to me from the other room because it's stuck.
Okay.
Not only am I too lazy to vacuum, I'm too lazy to go unstick the robot that's supposed to vacuum. No, it's fine. It'll be fine. We'll probably.
All right. Sorry. Back to this. All right. So rumor has it that the newest Spider-Man trailer is supposed to be coming out. And maybe by the time this video gets out, it's there. But we decided we are going to do a small series. Hopefully, this is a series about the different Spider-Men, starting with Tobey Maguire. Is Tobey Maguire the best Spider-Man?
Is this because of all the rumors about how many Spider-Man's men are going to be in No Way Home? Or
there is a lot of rumors that say Andrew Garfield's going to be in it and Tobey Maguire is going to be in it and Tobey Maguire's been spotted, blah, 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 all this stuff. I mean, who knows? I like the fact that there's, it's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is the first live Spider-Man that I've ever seen.
True.
That's,
There was a show, a TV series, and I believe it was, I want to say Japan, in the 80s or 70s. But I don't think we can count that.
No, and that was, if I remember correctly, like Spider-Man drove like a motorcycle, and there was all kinds of crazy. It had something to do with the rights to Spider-Man. Like they could get the rights and they just do whatever they wanted with it. And actually,
or the name, like the only thing in common is the name, and then like you said, motorcycle. I mean, I know in the comics and the cartoon way back in the day. There was the Spidey-mobile or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, that you can only stretch it so far and take so many liberties. So
yeah. And actually, I've been listening and watching another podcast I found that I'm going to shout out here, the Canceled Movie Report podcast. And they actually they had a 2-part series on the James Cameron Spider-Man. So we almost had Tobey Maguire not be our first Spider-Man. Our first Spider-Man, if everything would have gone right, and I encourage you to listen to this podcast or their YouTube channel. The James Cameron, the rumor was that Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be, and this is the 90s, Leo in the 90s, that he was going to be Peter Parker.
Do you think that was, I mean, because obviously he and James Cameron teamed up for Titanic. Was that supposed to be pre or post Titanic?
Pre.
Okay. So I will say this, and I know that in the last 20 years, he has made a name for himself as one of the, more decorated and accomplished movie stars. But high school Greg, I've still never seen Titanic because of all the, it's still like the contrarian in me 20 something years later, the biggest movie, of all time at that time. I'm not going to watch it. It's got that Leo and all the girls love the Leo. I'm not going to go waste my time. I know the story. The boat sinks and apparently Rose decides that there's not enough room on this big door for Jack. And so Jack sinks and dies. And that's, I know the story. Yeah. I don't need to watch the movie.
Well, you also can't watch the 90s Cameron Spider-Man because it never happened.
But
you don't have to worry about that.
I do think a James Cameron 90s Spider-Man would have been really intriguing because he's always pushing the boundaries of technology. So, that's why we had Avatar when we had it. That's why we've had such a big gap between Avatar and the next 18 Avatar movies that they say we're going to get, is because he has to wait for technology to or either develop the technology or wait for it to catch up to what he sees in his mind. So had there been the technology out in I guess probably 95 maybe, because I think Titanic was 98. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, probably about 94, 95, I would guess. Yeah.
And of course, Leonardo DiCaprio was, slumming it on Growing Pains, I think at the time. But, with the, I look at James Cameron, what he did with, Terminator 2, T2, Judgment Day, and some of the technological advances. So I would have been interested. It's really funny because we almost had a Spider-Man movie 5-6 years before the Spider-Man movie we got. And there was also the Nick Cage Superman movie. The 90s, the back end of the 90s could have been really interesting for comic book movies.
Yeah. In fact, the podcast I was talking about, they go over the 90 was the Nick Cage Superman and the Justice League Mortal. So, but anyway, so with Tobey Maguire, so we don't have Leo as Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man we actually see because on TV or on movie is Tobey Maguire. Now, Tobey Maguire gets a little bit of flack for this because he's looks like he's about 30 something playing a teenage kid. Which they do all the time. They used to do all the time in 90s movies and 2000s movies where all the high school kids would be, 30 plus. Now, Tobey Maguire was actually, I looked this up, Tobey Maguire was actually 26 when he started.
Okay.
But still, I think Tom Holland, I want to say, was 21 when he started.
Really? I would have thought it was sooner than that. But
maybe 19, 20, somewhere around there. But probably maybe 19. But still, Tom Holland was 19, looking like he's 14.
But by now, he's in his mid-20s, too.
I think he's 21, 22, somewhere around there. Yeah, but still, he looks like he's about maybe 18 now.
So I'm going back to the original, not the original, but the initial time we see Tom Holland, which would be Captain America Civil War. And, if he was theoretically 19, are you saying 19 when he first had his Spider-Man movie or 19 when he first put on the tights?
I'm just guessing here.
Right.
I would look up that information when we were talking about Tom Holland, but we're talking about Tobey Maguire right now.
Down the road on Nerds United on YouTube.
my guess is 19 when he was in the movies.
Sure.
My guess. But anyway, Tobey Maguire, he just looks older. Now, don't be wrong. When this came around, I saw Spider-Man several times in the theaters. I had it here and I couldn't find it because I was going to watch it again just to, get the feel for it again. I think I could. I knew every scene because I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
I loved his Peter Parker, and I thought his Spider-Man was okay.
Okay.
Not bad. None of them were bad. He plays the nerd really well.
Sure. Now, are you? Is that with 20 years of comic book movies? In kind of in your quiver that you can, but because when it came out in 2001, I was like, this is fantastic. It was, and I remember I went and saw it with friends of mine or a friend and her friend, and I had the foresight because it was brand new movie and it was supposed to be very big. I had the foresight to stop and get the tickets before I went and picked up and my friend's mom was like so amazed that I had, this 19-year-old kid had enough, foresight to plan ahead, get tickets so that we don't have to, guaranteed tickets. We don't have to wait in line. She's like, that's really smart. But I don't know if it, I didn't look at Tobey Maguire's performance as Peter Parker or Spider-Man with an overly critical eye. I was so excited to see, a comic accurate, costume because I think by that point we had the first XMen movie.
Probably, yeah.
Think because I know X2 came out in 2003, the first half of 2003, so it'd have been close there, but yeah. They were all they did not look like their comic book or cartoon counterparts. They were black leather. But Spider-Man, right. He was red and blue. You had the that initial, and I get that it's been done now, and a lot of people say one thing I never want to see again is Uncle Ben die, but you hadn't seen that at the time, Right. So, but you, oddly enough, you had Randy Savage as Bonesaw. In the cage, things like that. You had Bruce Campbell, and Bruce Campbell, of course, good friends with Sam Raimi going back to Evil Dead and probably, I think, beyond. So I imagine Bruce Campbell will probably pop up somewhere in Multiverse of Madness just because that's kind of like the Sam Raimi thing, trademark, if you will. But I don't know, something about I just enjoyed it in totality, and I didn't look at Tobey Maguire and say, yeah, he was kind of nerdy, but man, I think his Spider-Man could have been a little bit better. I was so happy at the time just to see it at all. And while the band gets some hell for it, the theme song that played over the end credits with Chad Kroeger and Josie from Saliva, I think. Sure. Hero Will Save You or something like that. It's a perfectly fine little, action movie theme song, a little almost ballad type thing. It jumped way off the tracks with that thought, but I wanted to get it out there, Mike. So I thought Tobey Maguire was, and how about this? The transformation, they had to do so many, scenes, the very first part, the pre-bite scenes, he goes to bed and he's all, 90 pounds and weak. And they're like, all right, cut. We're going to maybe film everything we can film without Tobey Maguire. Tobey hit the gym for 6 weeks, back on, because then, he gets the glasses on. He's, doing the making his pecs dance and things like that. It was a really intriguing transformation that they didn't really ever do in Amazing Spider-Man, and they never really had to with Tom Holland's version because they never showed pre-bite Tom Holland. So
true. First of all, I like how you think you're going to get a body like that in 6 weeks. He trained, I believe it was 6 days a week, twice a day for 6 months in order to get that. And that's exercise, diet, everything dialed in. Another thing is,
So what you're saying is I got a long road ahead of me, not short.
Yeah.
It's not a straight.
And by the way, that's also when you don't have anything else to do but train.
True, because you're 26.
Yeah, also and also you're young.
Yeah, you don't have 3 kids and a job. I mean, your job is to live in the gym and put on muscle.
Yeah. Also, this did come after XMen because now I told you there's a cameo that was almost going to happen in this movie.
Oh,
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine was supposed to
himself.
Hubert Allen Jackman was supposed to cameo in this. This is according to IMDb, and I think I've heard it somewhere else. Maybe he was supposed to cameo in this, but he actually showed up for filming, and they couldn't find. This is according to IMDb. They couldn't find his Wolverine, I don't know, outfit or whatever, and so then they just didn't do anything. I'm like, and now, granted, okay, at this time, you don't realize how big Hubert Jackman is going to be,
right?
And you don't know how big the X-Men franchise is going to be. Looking back,
you don't know that he's going to play that character for more movies. He was in that role more times than there have been Spider-Man movies, I think.
Yeah. Looking back, you got to kick yourself that you didn't go, okay, hey, maybe we don't have the claws. That's okay. Put this jacket on him, get his hair up. That's not going to take long. And he can walk past Peter Parker, bump into him, turn, done. I don't know what the cameo was supposed to be either. And maybe it was just that.
Give him a cigar, there's a world where Wolverine's heightened senses, kind of trigger at the same time as the Spidey sense. They're like, do they know if there's conflict there, or are they foe or friend type of thing? That would have been, you don't need a big action. You don't need to pour thousands of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. Have a glance, that's.
Yeah. And I don't know what outfit they were talking about either. Like I said,
if they would have gone with the yellow and blue spandex. Yeah. That months after it was on the big screen where Cyclops is like, what'd you expect? Yellow and blue spandex,
Yeah.
But
so that was.
I don't think you can't shy away from those colors in a Spider-Man movie. I think we've found, and I think there's been plenty of backlash over the last 20 years that perhaps X-Men, I get, well, they didn't, you can't jump full bore,
Right.
I don't know how, rest in peace, Dick Donner, who passed away in this past week. But I don't, it takes a bold man, but you can't have Superman in anything but like the red cape, the blue tights, the red boots, things like that. So I don't know if they were just trying to play with the times, be a little bit more edgy and black leather's in,
right?
Do you see what Blade was wearing, type of thing? But yeah, I don't know. I'll never understand that decision because they stayed with it for 3 movies.
Yeah.
But this is an X-Men show. Damn it. It's a Spider-Man show.
We can do more X-Men shows too. And just talk about how messed up the timeline is.
Right.
One thing, because I don't know, we wanted this video to go too long, but I will tell you there was some casting choices. So obviously for our Green Goblin, William Dafoe got it.
Did you like the Willem Dafoe Goblin?
I loved William Dafoe as Goblin. I wish they would have went with their original idea, which instead of a armor suit that Green Goblin has, it's like a life like he's actually like a goblin type.
Oh, okay.
Like it's his skin and stuff like that. There's somewhere on YouTube I've seen it. There's a screen test of a mask that you see,
like the prosthetic type.
Yeah, prosthetic. Yeah.
See, but I don't think Norman Osborn as Green Goblin ever. There's the Green Goblin version in Into the Spider-Verse. Where he's a big hulking goblin, but comics, the 90s cartoon, it was always just it was a rubber mask, or something like that. But it didn't ever look like a face deformity,
Right.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. That versus the armor type.
Yeah. So these are the list of people that, according to IMDb, almost played, or at least were in the running, I guess, for Green Goblin. And you tell me what you think about them. Nick Cage.
Okay.
John Malkovich,
That's not a bad one.
Bill Paxton,
I could pass.
and if he couldn't make it, Bill Pullman.
He's too busy being president.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mel Gibson,
several years sooner. Mel Gibson, no.
Bobby De Niro.
No. I'm not a huge De Niro fan. Like, I'm not minimizing his accomplishments, but I just don't think that role. I don't know if his facially as expressive enough as he needs to be to. And I think that was part of the armor and the helmet is Goblin, and Willem Dafoe is very facially expressive. You know, those times where he's not in the armor and he's just like in his pajamas and bathrobe, and he's like the Goblin's kind of coming out, and he's
Right.
You know, like that would have been great to see. You know, maybe some grease paint or something on, type of thing. But so I don't think De Niro would have been as emotive, especially at that point in his career.
All right. And last one, Billy Crudup.
No.
Yeah.
I think at this point, Crudup had, I'm not diminishing any of his things, but the only thing I really knew him of at this point was Almost Famous, where he was like a 60s, 70s, rock star type of thing.
Yeah.
He would go on to be Flash's dad, Dr. Manhattan, more famously probably. But I just don't. Of the list that you read, there was not a name on that list that I liked better than Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe is the best, but by far. And he fits the Goblin role perfectly. Just like J.K. Simmons. Yeah. J.K. Simmons fits the J. Jonah Jameson role perfectly.
Right. So much so that they brought him back in another cinematic universe type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as far as Peter Parker / Spider-Man goes, obviously we talked about with the 90s, it was supposed to be Leo DiCaprio. Apparently, for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, James Franco came very close to getting the Spider-Man role. Obviously, instead of the Spider-Man role, he got the Harry Osborn role. And
I think that's a better role for him because I don't buy James Franco, and I guess I should because I think he was on Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, he was.
I don't really see him as like the nerdy type.
No.
It's a curse to be too good looking to be nerdy.
I know.
Like you speak from experience.
No. Another person that apparently came close was Wes Bentley.
Okay, now he went on to be in a Marvel project a couple years later in Ghost Rider. He was Legion, and he was many.
He was, yes. Now the last person here came very close, not for the first Spider-Man, but for the second Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So after they filmed the first Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire was filmed Seabiscuit and apparently got in a very bad horse accident there. And with movies, they have a timetable of like, we need to start shooting now. And they weren't sure if he was going to be ready. So on standby, they had Jake Gyllenhaal, who came very, very close to being the Peter Parker Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. Okay. Obviously, he didn't get it. Tobey healed up in time, but it was. Yeah, I
remember hearing about that injury on Seabiscuit. But Jake Gyllenhaal, before he became like a leading man, as he became just shortly after Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like you go back to Donnie Darko. I mean, that's darker character, obviously introverted, a loner type who, again, Spider-Man, and he would obviously go on and see some success in a Spider-Man movie years later. So full circle for old Jakey G.
Yes. And I got one more thing before we go out of here and I think probably start recording our podcast. So according to a lot of people, Tobey Maguire, and I've never met him, but he's a bit of a dick.
What?
Yeah.
He's so pleasant in Pleasantville.
Well, apparently he's just a really good actor. He's a bit of a dick. And allegedly, Joe Manganiello, who played Flash on
Joe Manganiello,
whatever his name is, Joey M, I call him.
Joey.
There was obviously the fight scene between Flash and Peter Parker, right? According to Joey, he said that crew members said they would give him $100 if he actually punched Tobey in the face.
Oh wow!
But he said I couldn't do it because obviously, like, he's the lead,
right?
They can recast my part real easy. So if he wanted to stay in house, so he didn't do it.
That's a very smart career decision, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
look
Joey
where now you're Deathstroke, and
Exactly.
and living large. Had a terrific recurring character on How I Met Your Mother. Really, my takeaway from this entire episode: 2 takeaways. One, the music, the theme song at the end is tremendous and highly underrated. And 2, Joey G made a brilliant career decision. Joey M, sorry. Him and Jakey G confused. Joe Manganiello had who, by the way, is a self-proclaimed nerd and like plays Dungeons and Dragons regularly, which is tremendous. And Joe Manganiello, if you ever see this, we'd love to have you on the show. Period. Open invitation anytime. But terrific career decision to not punch Tobey Maguire, allegedly.
Good job.
So
are we saying that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man?
I think we'll have to complete our series and then decide after that.
Comment. You should comment below, and you tell me if he's the best.
Yeah, we are very interested in your thoughts, YouTube. It's my understanding that YouTube commenters are always generous and pleasant and civil and polite. What you got?
Facts.
All right. That'll do it for this episode of Nerds United on YouTube. Once again, the co-host of the year, the face that runs the place, and the guy who brought the topic this week and in all the past weeks because I've been busy. He is Mike Luther. I'm Greg Mahochko. We will see you next time right here on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, tell your friends. But most importantly, be kind.
And rewind.